Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Casual Mode. We're finally going back to an older game, not necessarily one that's pre-release or just had come out. Actually, behind the scenes, we almost did this one a few weeks in a row, and then we finally got to it. So Xanadu Next, which is by Neon Falcom, that is very low resolution text. It's a PC exclusive. If you've heard of Xanadu, it's probably most likely that you've heard of it through Tokyo Xanadu, which is a very different sort of game, I'd say. But Adam, you reviewed it for RPG Site back in 2016. How about you give it a bit of an explanation?
Yeah, so I haven't played like the earlier Xanadu games, like when you get back to like the older Dragon Warrior Falcom era stuff, but Xanadu Next actually released in Japan in 2005, and it actually released for the N-Gage, or a version of it for the N-Gage first. I don't even know exactly what that version looks like, because this is the PC version, which I understand is pretty different, but also in 2005. Actually, was the N-Gage version worldwide? I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was? Okay. But then Xseed Games in 2016 took this, at the time, 11-year-old RPG and localized it and released it on Steam. It had like a fan translation, I believe, for a while, but this was like 11 years later, an official release in English on Steam. So Xseed kind of does that every once in a while, where they just went through their back catalog of Falcom games back in the day, and we got a release for it. I reviewed this game and I gave it a 9. It's really good if it kind of fits your taste. But it is very different from Tokyo Xanadu for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start a new save, though. I'm also maybe gonna hop back into an late game save to kind of show something I want to talk about. But yeah, I just even realized Falcom original role playing game around the.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
I didn't even realize that until there's like some other text.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Wonder if I can just use my keyboard. Yes, I can. Okay.
Does the N-Gage have a keyboard?
Yes, but sorta.
Well, I remember Falcom made some ports to their phones, and they're like really obscure. There's even like a Trails in the Skies for the phone at one point. You could probably YouTube it up and find it somewhere.
And by the way, we didn't introduce ourselves. James is driving, and with us today are me. I'm Adam. We have Brian here.
Hi.
And Chow.
Yo.
And George.
Hello, everyone.
The usual crew, or mostly usual.
So before this game released, I remember like what people kept describing it as is a mix between Diablo and Ys. Ys being another Falcom series, because it's a PC game that it's primarily made to use mouse and keyboard controls. So that's sort of Diablo-ish, but it's an action RPG. So it kind of had, I guess, people thought it's sort of like Ys. Personally, I don't feel like that's not really a great description of it. I'll get more to that later.
So the Falcom games I've played are Modern Ys and the Trails games. So this is older than anything I've played from their catalog.
Well, you played like Oath and Palgana and stuff, though, right?
Technically, Trails in the Sky first chapter came out before this, so...
Right, you have to start factoring in those localization delays.
Yeah. Speaking of Trails in the Sky, I wonder if this actually had a high-resolution texture option that I just missed in the config file, because this is really blocky.
Wow, you can always look at the community hub to see for mods. I mean, there's a Final Fantasy 9 mod too that they like upscaled like every single like asset in the game.
Yeah, I never like to go for like these mods that like are called like 4K texture pack, and it just looks like really out of place, like an amateur job. But it's always kind of cool to see like more simple ones, like the text replacements and things like that just up-res them.
Skipping that.
So if you weren't paying attention to the dialogue there, Charlotte, the girl with the pink hair, is kind of like a scholar student.
Archaeologist in training.
Yeah, and we're going to basically, I forget the island's name, but it's an island full of ruins, and they're going to investigate the ruins here on the island. So that's kind of the initial why they are going to this place. And then the player character is kind of just like tagging along for now.
I kind of miss these old pre-rendered CG cutscenes in older Falcom games.
Wow, graphics gotten so good nowadays. It's like the cutscenes look just like the pre-render scenes.
It's funny, like well, I shut up for a bit.
Title.
So does this have anything in relation to Tokyo Xanadu? Or not really?
Not at all.
I mean, I've written a guide for Tokyo Xanadu, and I tell you, it's like they're trying to make their own thing on that one.
Because I haven't played Tokyo Xanadu, but to me it just seemed like Kaseki Light or something like that.
It's sort of like Trails in a way. Like the structure, the formula of the game is like heavy Trails inspired.
I know I said this last week, but this music, like,
Yeah, Falcom JDK, they don't make them like they used to.
Well, most of the composers like passed away. If I remember, like the one that did the soundtrack for like Trails in the Sky, like he's no longer around.
So this game is entirely standalone. Like it's not part of any series or larger connected mythos. Is that true?
Well, I never tried the older Xanadu, like let's say the dragons. There's like Dragon Slayers too.
So Dragon Slayer 2 is Dragon Slayer Xanadu, and then this is sort of like a spin-off of that. And you know, some of the older Falcom like history gets a little weird in terms of like the series and the branding. Right.
Some younger series, you can trace the genealogy back to Dragon Slayer.
I think I've seen like those flow charts and they're a mess. All right, we cleared the cutscene boss. We made it. This looks like it could be like an old Trails game. Like the same like design of buildings and like the signage on it. I don't know. I can see
So
the
that's-
DNA, I guess.
Kind of the last bit of dialogue we skipped is they noticed the castle poking its way through the fog, so... Or mist, I should say. Castle Strange Rock.
That checks out. All right. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely there's a bit of a slower start with Xanadu next compared to obviously most of the Trails games. So,
Well, at least we're not playing Cold Steel 4.
Oh,
The
gosh.
intro was like so long. We'll never get to the gameplay part of it.
So your character doesn't speak, they just kind of like write in their journal.
I think that was Charlotte's journal, right? Your character
Yeah,
just doesn't talk.
Oh, okay. You don't even write.
yeah.
All right, here we go.
Loud steps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the sound effects are a bit loud. I'm going to turn those down just a little bit.
My super off the cuff, know nothing about this game. I could see like why you might say Diablo, at least at a surface level.
Yeah, I can sort of see that as well.
That super high arcing down isometric view. And just like the UI in the upper right, it's kind of... Well, I guess the Diablo UI is more lower central.
I don't remember where specifically I need to go to first. Here we go.
What are the chances the church ends up being evil?
Well, I
I like that
mean,
knowing laugh.
at least so far in Trails, it doesn't seem like the church is evil, so who knows with Falcom. Don't have any bonus points yet.
This reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on it, where you use like the chapel areas to level up or assign stats. Seems like an interesting premise.
Yep. Oh, there's.
So I get to talk to the priestess again.
Yep.
Something that always reminds me of this sort of era of gaming is like really loud footsteps. Well, that might be really stupid, but
I get you.
Well,
Where
even
were you in
nowadays,
2005?
Even nowadays, even though it's super common nowadays, one of the things I like look and listen for is if your footstep sound changes when you step on different types of material.
yeah.
It does it
'Cause
here.
At one point, that was like super cool, but now it's like.
Well, I mean, it doesn't.
Hey, this game does it. The grass is a little bit more soft.
Like, I guess barely, but.
First dungeon time?
Well, not even really much of a dungeon, to be honest. If I remember.
So, have you played this game before, James?
Yeah, I reviewed it for Never Outlet back in the
Ah,
day.
and then I assume Chow's played it?
I only played a bit of it. I didn't fully finish it, I'll tell you.
So one thing about this game is that keys are sort of limited, but if you get monster bones, you can actually get them changed into keys as well.
I remember this mechanic being one of those things that like really turned away people at times. Like initially, like you have to buy keys and there's like one-time use and kind of have to like grind them as like a consumable. But like after a few hours in, it kind of just becomes negligible or you know, not really anything to worry about because you have plenty.
Yep.
Or you can get plenty. That's how I feel.
Well, that just kind of turns it into a different sort of mechanic. It's more of a resource management thing and less of just a lock puzzle thing where you have 3 keys and 3 doors and you can't possibly like use them in a different order. Well, there might be some games that like they mess with the idea where you have to use keys in a certain way in order to access all the rooms. But I'm thinking like Zelda games where it's like you always get exactly as many keys as you need and it's impossible to mess up, or to like it ends up kind of almost being a non-mechanic where you just use the key. All they're doing is telling you which rooms to enter in which order.
Binding of Isaac comes to mind pretty fast.
I was like thinking about like the first Mana game. You ever played the first Mana game, Final Fantasy Adventure? There's like a key as a consumable item, and for some reason, doors respawn.
Here's one of the interesting things about Xanadu Next is that kind of like E7, if anyone's played that, well, probably have. Each weapon has its own skill attached to it, and once you level up, well, once you use the weapon enough, you can eventually unlock the skill in general. So like that system started out here, not E7.
That sounds like doesn't Final Fantasy IX do something similar to that? Oh yeah, James
That's like
played any of those.
That's more of a just like a weapon point system, like AP or whatever.
That's kind of cool.
Something I missed.
So okay, I see how much gold you have in the upper right. I see how many keys you have. You have health, you have mana, I assume. I'm just trying to like compartmentalize all the UI parts. Is that your weapon in F1, like a weapon sets?
And
then
I think that's for actually the skill I have equipped, and I can just, if I had more than one, I could click those, and then those are items, I think. It's been a while, so I think the monsters can respawn here. Oh wait, I can just buy more keys. That's what it's wanting me to do.
Yeah, I think you need just to buy keys.
wait, where do you buy the keys from?
The shop.
You can buy them from the shop. Apparently, every door uses the same key, and you can just buy them. But then eventually, you can make them.
Well, the joke is that you make the keys out of bones, and they're skeleton keys.
I get it.
The third tab.
Yeah.
So that was the intended design, to go in the dungeon, get gold, come back with the gold to buy keys to progress further in the dungeon. All right. This reminds me also of the older East games where you get the like shopkeeper portrait.
Good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get through the tutorial dungeon and then load up my endgame save just to show a bit of an idea of what the game looks like near the end. Like, no spoilers or anything, but because it's definitely one of those games that it's a lot simpler at the beginning.
Like, how long is the game roughly?
You can be
like, is it like a 20-hour RPG or 50-hour RPG?
More like a 20-hour if you do absolutely everything.
So pretty lean, I guess.
So you can push these. There's a lot of block puzzles in this game.
I would play like a Zelda-like game in this style.
Oh,
as it kind of goes to show that I'm thinking more like Zelda than Diablo or something like that.
Basically, you want to bait them to attack and then run to your side or behind them to deal more damage.
The music very specifically reminds me of something, and I really can't figure it out. Like,
It actually has a very
PS1
different sort of
era.
soundtrack than other. Like, it's not high energy like East, and it's not really like the Trail series either. It's kind of its own thing. It has some really like
So if I want to, I
environmental.
can press one to just use that. Probably should have saved that, but oh well. I think I need another key. Yes, I do. And one thing I noticed at the shop is that there's an item you can get for 500 gold that lets you fast travel back to town. That's very useful. Definitely buy that as soon as you can.
Is the majority of the game just kind of going into longer and longer dungeons? And these aren't like procedurally generated, they're designed.
Yeah. So the one thing I want to show later is that you know how people talk about how at least the first half of Dark Souls, the world kind of wraps in on itself? Well, this game does something pretty similar, where there's a bunch of areas that wrap back into the main town. It's like when this guy's talking about the lift, like there's several areas that the lift kind of connects to that connects back to the town.
So you'll like go out into the wilderness, and then you'll go through different places, and before you realize it, you're at the other side of the lift.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
So do I sell it to him, or?
No, you need the knife. You don't have it yet. Just buy the keys for now. Buy all of them.
I'm not certain how I feel about that design. I was just talking about keys and doors and locks earlier, but
Also, I think eventually this breaks down. You can.
I don't mind key design if it's not like Final Fantasy Adventure where the doors respawn.
Like, honestly, it's only the very beginning of the game where the key thing's annoying. Once you get fast travel and you're getting a lot more bones and you got the bone whittling knife, it is a lot easier and it's not really that annoying.
then you just kind of make them as you need them.
Gonna try the other one here. This sounds quiet, too quiet. Oh. Whoa. It's not a boss, it's a lot of enemies.
Monster House.
Da 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 da.
So if I wanted to play this, you're obviously playing it on PC. Is that really the only option right now?
Yes, unless you want to buy an N-Gage.
Who says I don't? I couldn't say that with a straight face. I bet if you were super into it, you could get like one of those, what are they called? Like GP Win Pros or whatever to get it like on a handheld.
Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't even need the newest GPD Win. I bet the first one would run this perfectly fine too. It's not exactly a looker.
I think it looks pleasant. Like, I know what you mean though. It's not demanding, but the older I get, I find like I kind of enjoy kind of like these simpler, more pleasant art styles. We don't have like foliage that takes three CPU cores to render on its own or stuff like that.
Trying to remember, how do you check to see what your P is for a weapon?
Proficiency 37%.
So, I think
You'll learn something once that's 100.
Yeah, I'll basically be able to use this skill whenever. So, I think I'm going to keep that for now. I don't necessarily need to switch to it quite yet. And here's a spellbook I can use to also equip this.
So later in the game, can you like start to specialize? Like, I'm going to use specific weapon types or specific spells, or?
Yeah, you can have it equipped at any time. So there is a bit of an ability to make a build and whatnot. And what you can notice is, like, on the fly, you can use the function keys to swap between them.
That looked a bit silly right there when you just like spammed out those spells, but it worked.
Yeah. And thrust is useful because you can kind of knock an enemy down, which, if there's a bunch and you just need to give yourself some room to breathe.
basically seems like this is what a Yeast game would be if it dialed down the action game a little bit and dialed more pure RPG up a bit. Adam, would you be excited if they like announced a new game more in this style and not just hopscotch between the two series that they're currently on?
I would definitely be excited if Falcom would release more than one game. Well, more than 2 games like every year.
Yeah, their lineup's basically it's either Yeast or Trails now.
Assumedly, we're going to get Tokyo Xanadu 2 eventually.
But like you said, that really doesn't have anything in common other than the name, right?
Yeah, I mean it's basically Trails made into an action game, and the
I mean, Hajimaru
isn't
has,
really
like,
that strong either.
even has sections that literally take place in the Tokyo Xanadu universe. It's weird. It's very weird. But that's not a spoiler anyways. That's actually just like side stuff. And they even advertise it, so.
Making the noise.
This reminds me of like Zelda so much. Hold it over your head.
Turn around, face camera.
Just didn't tilt the camera too.
I'm like, nah, I found it, dude.
The music stopped. You know what that means.
Jesus, he moved fast.
Yep.
Still think that
I think
was a
I
bit
can
silly, but it works.
I think I can technically beat him, though it would obviously be. Well, no, there we go.
Oh, I see. It's that sort of fight.
One hit kill.
I think there's an achievement if you manage to beat him. And I died.
And that's the game.
Short game.
Fair fight, my ass.
Jeez.
It kind of like I was half expecting the way they're going about this that it'd be like the Metroid thing where it's like you start with some abilities and then it's like now you got to start over at level 1 because you are mortally injured.
Wow, if it's a Yeast game, you just lose everything from a shipwreck. So does that guy still kill you if you actually beat him in a fair fight?
I actually don't know.
It's typical. You use up like all your items, and you like spend an hour tidying him around and poking away at his health, and then he's just like, you lose anyway. Bye.
A typical Falcon cutscene.
All right, I can already kind of see how that fans out into different progression systems.
Yep.
And all this is like really convenient. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it is her journal. All right. So this is basically coming back to tell us the premise that we weren't given before.
Yeah.
All right, so Xanadu is in universe, proper
Yep.
noun. Okay.
And that's pretty much the only connection between this game and Tokyo Xanadu is just the concept of Xanadu being paradise. Like that's pretty much it. And that's not unique to these games. That's just what Xanadu is. So yeah.
Kind of how like East was a location, like it still is a physical area of that world, but it just kind of becomes less and less important as that series goes on.
So you can actually read these and has like information about the backstory.
Yeah, the storyline in this game, there's like a history of this kingdom that was a part of this place, and you kind of get it in pieces. I actually think it's pretty interestingly delivered to the player, but it is all text basically.
That sort of thing is always kind of difficult to balance because it's not just going to be delivered in exposition. It's up to the player to seek it out.
There's actually an interesting kind of there's two different ways that you learn about the Kingdom of Xanadu. The tablets, like that one you just read, are more like a dry history. But then you later also find memoirs from a character from the kingdom. And so it's kind of interesting how you get like this dry history half of it, and then like this sort of personal half of a person who is from there. And then there's some light connection to the happenings that take place during the present in the game. So it's not like a front to back narrative. It's kind of all comes together piecemeal through these different avenues.
So one funny thing is that as you give her the tabulae, she'll actually give you a boxed lunch every time, and there's like separate flavor text about how she's actually getting better at cooking them each time, which is funny.
That's kind of neat.
Let's see if I can... I think this is for saving. Yep. So now...
Remind me, is the Clover Ruins right out front?
Yeah, Clover Ruins.
Oh yeah, I really love the music here.
Also, you can cut the grass.
Told you, Zelda game.
So actually, you want to cut all the grass because I believe that you can actually... first off, let me... So what am I at now? I'm at 60.4%. Now I'm going to cut some grass. And if you check, the proficiency has gone up. So actually, it's best to cut as much as you can because, well, you want to get your proficiency up anyways, and it can have gold. So
I studied the blade by mowing the lawn.
So anyways, I mentioned before, like, what game this reminds me of most, and maybe this is a little bit out of left field, but it actually reminds me a lot of Vagrant Story. And that's kind of weird to say because the combat is not the same at all. And then, like, the tone is pretty different too, but sort of just the structure and setting and style is similar in that you're kind of like this sole explorer, off on your own, exploring these kind of old ruins and learning about like the history of the place as you go through them. And then it kind of they have a similar mystery element, and then it kind of all culminates and comes together in the end. It just has the same sort of vibe. So that was actually the game that came to mind when I was playing this. Like, it actually just kind of reminds me of Vagrant Story, even though, like, on paper, it's not really similar.
Thinking back, I actually think my first playthrough of this, I did use gamepad, and I just used keyboard and mouse to do menus. Though obviously it works perfectly fine with keyboard and mouse.
But overall, this game just has a really addictive gameplay loop in terms of the combat, exploring the dungeons. It has that sort of, yes, Dark Souls element that you mentioned earlier in terms of like, as you kind of go through these various sectioned rooms,
Powerful.
you eventually find shortcuts to kind of traverse areas quicker. So like you'll eventually loop around back to the city, and then it makes kind of exploring through the world just a little bit shorter the second time through. The progression for your weapons and your levels and the abilities you get is also really satisfying. And like we also mentioned before, it's not a very long game. You can beat it in like 15 hours overall, and about like 5 of those are the last dungeon. So it's, you can beat it in a weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely got a similar kind of progression to, like, I'd say East 1, where the final dungeon is like, okay, here's the real Xanadu next. Kind of like with East 1, where it's like you basically get to your max level 20, and then you're in the Darm Tower.
Is your proficiency actually going up to any noticeable degree?
Yes, it's almost at 100%,
Oh, don't.
so I can almost like
So you can get it to 100 and then get your axe.
I get to it. There we go. And you can actually power up the skill if you get to 200% proficiency, that we are not.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, you don't have the strength. You don't have the strength stats.
Oh, well, I'll have to go back to town to level up my strength a bit. Well, actually, what are the exact requirements? Ooh. How many bones? Oh, I have 6. I have 6. Okay, so yeah, I can go back and do that. Bonus points. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to do 1 in each for now, plus 1 in strength. You can level yourself down at any time if you want to reallocate, so that's good.
I like that.
Now let's see if those dumb goblins will take more damage. First, the mowing.
Okay, you don't have to cut all the grass. We get it.
Yeah, I know.
You're not even going to keep the save pile anyway, right?
Probably not. So as long as I have this equipped, actually, I can drastically increases the gold. Huh.
So that axe doesn't have like a weapon skill,
That's
like
a
a usable one. It's a passive.
Basically, it's the grinding skill.
Still 1 damage, man.
That goblin has
I think,
really
not
high damage.
quite. Yeah, not quite.
So when you level up, do you get any raw stats, or is it just opportunities to level up at the church?
I think you get health.
Yeah, you get health. If you actually noticed there, the swing can hit multiple enemies at once. Oh no, you! Please no.
A little bit of nonlinear difficulty with basically these enemies in this dungeon that you're not really supposed to take on yet. You just kind of seems like you're meant to avoid them. I don't quite remember, but eventually they're nothing. But for now,
obviously you can mow a bunch of grass if you just want to, because your proficiency also determines how much damage you do. So
right.
So like right now it's attack 18. If I look at the other one, it was attack 15. So I think actually I might want to mow some grass. Just a little bit, because you notice the proficiency rose pretty quickly on that one.
It just definitely seems like the sort of game that would be playable like in spurts, like on a handheld, or like on a bus at a bus stop or for bed.
How do I even get past? Let's get past this goblin. Thankfully, since he's only an archer, I can actually...
Is it left click to swing? Is that what it is?
Yeah. That grass, I was going to mow it later. Oh. He's angry.
I like how you do 1 damage to him and he does 20 damage to you.
Well, at least I
He
got...
barely gives you more EXP.
Yeah.
I know there's a cutscene in this dungeon. I don't remember taking this long to get to it.
Enemy variety seems a little limited. I mean, I'm not judging it too harshly because it's an older game, but...
My guardian leveled up.
There's something like 12 guardians, I think, in the game, and they affect like your passive and I believe some other spells you get access to.
Max HP.
Yeah, that one increases your
You get
HP.
1 point for every monster you kill. So, something like that.
Just ignore them.
Leave the goblins alone. They live here. Wait, was that like a free level up? Because you just got one. That's cool.
Which was good I got there since I just leveled up.
Right, you're not wasting the EXP you had gained or whatever. Puzzle time, maybe?
It wants me
I
to
think this is a shortcut that you loop back to.
I like that little jingle.
It's a big one.
Jumbo. That's a word I don't see much.
He's not taking much damage either.
Now these should be easier. Oh, come on! They're smaller than the regular slimes.
Maybe not supposed to be there yet.
It's like when you go the wrong way at the first campfire in Dark Souls and you fight the skeletons. You're like, man, these things are tough.
More damage from magic. That's good. to know.
Remind me, does your MP just gain back naturally at all? I don't remember.
I think it regains when you get back to town. Something like that.
Nice.
Oh, I can give that to Char.
I see. $100 IQ puzzle.
They actually do get more interesting.
Yeah,
and
I'm just being cheeky. But... Oh, another Guardian? Is that what that is?
Yep.
Looks
Okay.
a little too cute to be a Guardian.
So that's your trade-off of the 2 guardians you have is HP for SP, basically.
just gonna run all the way back.
I think you have to go to the east there twice.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're supposed to go.
I think that section in the east you actually don't go back to until later on.
But were you gonna switch to your other file to kind of show us where it ends up once you've progressed?
I'm gonna just switch to the other file now, I think. Because it's already been like almost an hour. So...
From 2016. All right,
eventually,
same
like,
area.
faster walk speed. Big
Oh yeah,
shot
you move faster.
we are able to... Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Oh yeah, you can
It's like
walk on the
the,
air for a
it's like
bit.
Boots from...
Like the hover boots.
Jesus.
Wait, are you underwater? I wasn't paying attention.
No. Like, eventually you're able to get to Strange Rock and you basically get rid of the lake. So yeah, this is where the majority of the game takes place. There is a bonus dungeon within the dungeon somewhere. I forget where you get to it. I think that's... Yeah,
This is the bonus dungeon.
so yeah.
Those numbers are a bit bigger. Okay, I can already see kind of how the action like ramps up.
I forgot that you actually like move faster.
I'm not
Eventually.
sure.
The
I
movement
think-
speed's a big improvement.
Yeah, the movement speed, I think you actually get it relatively early on, I want to say.
It's sort of difficult though as well when you're just watching someone play something. This is how it actually feels.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a slower start, and the game as a whole never gets quite as fast as any of the East games. But, it's definitely a different type of action RPG. It's a lot of fun.
Use some of your skills.
Yeah.
You only have 10 SP.
Whoa, that's a bit of a slowdown. Interesting.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, stopping boulders.
At first I thought that was like a hazard of the realm. I didn't realize you was casting that.
Let's see. I think this one's a passive that lets me swing faster. Ah, that's right. I think this is the passive that lets me swing faster. Actually, I think the way the passives work is you don't have to have them selected.
As long as they're just equipped to your function keys.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you remember if that's true or not.
That sounds about right.
Come on, die.
Quantum Ghost? That doesn't even make sense.
Oof. Do I have any healing items? Yes, I do.
So what does
I
Selbest
like how
mean?
all your gear is like glowing because it's like endgame stuff.
Yeah. Just got more gold out of that than an entire other save file.
It definitely seems like really snappy. Has a good flow to it. It feels kind of deliberate.
Very much so, yeah.
Whatever.
I guess
it
it
is,
just
doesn't
like
those
renders.
portals. Yeah.
I definitely feel like that slowdown's a deliberate choice or something.
So does this play?
I
well
remember
with,
spending a long time in this bonus dungeon.
Yeah, it doesn't have like 100 floors or something. I don't know.
Does this game play well with modern PCs?
Well, yeah, it plays perfectly fine. Like it supports unlock frame rates. Like I'm playing at 144 hertz right now, so. And clearly, it's not absolutely destroying my frames because at least on the preview window, it seems like the recording's fine. I'm not sure how it looks on your guys' end.
Well, I guess 2000. What'd you say? 4, 5?
Yeah, 2005. I'm not sure if I forget if there's like specific bosses in here or what, but Adam, what's there bosses in here?
I don't remember.
Alright, once we get to floor 5, I'm just gonna hop out then.
How do you know what floor? Oh, upper left, there it is. So what Guardian do you have equipped?
I have Selbest, which improves my equipment. So that's why attack is glowing, I think. So obviously I have a bunch of other equipment.
Use the scythe, the halberd, the fourth one in.
The Blood Lotus.
Ooh.
Wooden Sword.
Attack 20 versus the 200 right below it.
Obviously, I have the Dragon Slayer, which, yeah. So yeah, this allows me to fast travel to Harlock Village, and then there's like fast travel points on the map places. So.
It's cool
Yeah, the
that
game
they've actually got the reflection on the. Say that again?
The game actually ranks you at the end for how fast you cleared it, percentage completion, and it's actually pretty strict if you want to get the best ranking for a completion.
It's like you must finish the game in 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I think less than that actually, like 5 or something. Which obviously, if you're skipping a bunch of if you know where to go and whatnot, it's not as bad. But obviously, right now I'm not exactly in the best position to even attempt that.
And whenever I play like Metroid games or something that do similar like scoring, I always go for like the slow turtle approach where I pick up everything and go everywhere, and never like speed clear approach.
I like how there's the reflection, even if it's super pixelated.
But they could have easily kind of, what's the word, faked it. They could have like reflected just the building environment, but no, they're like reflecting all your attacks and things as well. So it's actually like computing what it's seeing above and mirroring it.
Seeing you play like this bit of the game, it definitely appeals to me a bit more, like the faster pace. I know you have to get there, obviously, but it's cool to see that it does get there.
Your health is there it goes.
Let me hit you. Now I know why they're quantum ghosts. You're not sure if you're actually there.
Yeah,
until you
maybe it is actually like a legit name.
Assholes. All right.
Damn it, uncertainty principle.
Quantum box. It's either there or isn't. Let's see. Nope. All right. I'll clear this floor. The enemy design is very different from the stuff you'd see in East and Trails. It's definitely the enemy designs for the most part feel, I'd say, even more like Western inspired a bit.
It does kind of a bit. And I was noting in that other place that the enemy design was kind of basic.
I told
not
you.
very varied. But then here you've got like the guys with the size, the ghosts, those golem arms, lizard men, what that is, zombies. Is this place randomized, or is it just...
I think it's randomized. I could be wrong, though. But, like, the treasure chests are just, like, regular potions, and the areas definitely seem to be pretty simple. I wouldn't be shocked if it's randomized. Oh, meant to press F4.
What determines
think-
if you miss?
I think if you hold the attack button while they're or facing them, you have a chance to block. I'm not. Don't remember exactly. Let's see. Ooh, this is a long one.
And they use these like electric gates to force you to actually clear the room.
Yep.
You can't just beeline to the end.
As you can see, I'm getting a ton of gold. God, this is a long one.
Maybe it's because it's waiting at the end.
It's a long what?
Long 4. The other ones weren't this long. Maybe there actually is a boss fight at the end of this one. Come on, gotta be a Colossus. There we go. Nope, no boss fight. Alright, so, yeah. Wanted to load into this just to kind of emphasize that the gameplay does get better. It does get faster. The enemy variety does get a lot more. I guess the last thing I'll show is just kind of how the world interconnects a little bit. So, like I said, this area right here knocks down, and you can head into this other dungeon area. And then there's the lift, and obviously going forward, there's Castle Strange Rock. So yeah, the lift has a variety of different areas it can go to. Like you can go... I think there's 3 levels to it. There's the base level, there's this, and then I think there's another... No, there's only 2.
No, I think it just connects to the left or right, depending on which way you go once you're up there.
Yeah, actually, let me check that.
So it's a very dense world.
Yeah.
It's not go on a world map and go like trekking across the whole continent.
How long did you say it would take to beat again, James?
Like 15 hours is about how long it took me. So yeah. Yeah, the areas definitely get better. Like inside here is like there's a magma zone. I actually didn't open this. Huh. Amazing.
There was another chest in there. I was assuming that they'd kind of just respawn in some form.
I could probably get to that chest since I have the. Yeah, that is totally. Yeah, I think it's even the same amount of steps. Because isn't it like 1, 2, 3, or something like that? It feels about the same, but anyways.
Oh, but thanks for showing it to us. It's when I think Falcom games, this isn't what I think of. It's cool to see something different.
Yeah.
I would definitely play like a modern game in this style.
Oh, totally. I very much like another Xanadu game, like another proper Xanadu game, not a Tokyo one. I almost want to say that Falcom themselves apologized for using the Xanadu name for Tokyo Xanadu or something like that. I don't remember where I heard that, but I don't know. So, interesting game. Definitely give it a shot. God knows that you need this game needed to sold more on PC. I think it was only like a few thousand copies sold based off of Steam Spy or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks for hosting, James.